You have never seen the world. You have seen your mind's rendering of it, refreshed moment by moment, and mistaken the render for the room. That sounds like a riddle. It isn't. It is a claim about mechanics, and by the end of this episode, it should feel less like mysticism and more like plumbing. Start small. Today, at some point, you were in a conversation. You would say you attended it. Here is the correction this episode asks you to sit with. You attended your rendering of it. What arrived in awareness was not the conversation. It was the conversation filtered through your mood, your expectations, your history with that person, and the self-image your mind was defending in real time. The raw event and your experience of the event were never the same object. They have never once been the same object in your entire life. This is not a flaw in your particular mind. It is how minds work, and it can be watched. This is the third episode of Storehouse. In the first, we laid out a map of the restless mind drawn in the 4th century. The storehouse, the seeds, the rope mistaken for a snake in low light. In the second, we looked at the replay loop, why the mind reruns that conversation at 2 a.m., and why the rerun is not memory doing its job, but a self being maintained. Tonight, we go one level down. The question is no longer why you replay it. The question is what exactly you are replaying. And the answer is not footage. There was never any footage. Consider two colleagues walking out of the same meeting. One leaves thinking it went fine, a little tense in the middle, resolved by the end. The other leaves certain she was undermined in front of the room and spends the drive home building the case. Same room, same words, same hour. If you interviewed them separately, you would get two meetings that share a calendar entry and almost nothing else. The usual explanations don't hold. It is not that one was paying attention and the other wasn't. It is not that one is honest and one is lying. Both are reporting accurately on their renderings. Each mind took the raw material of the hour and built an experience out of it, using whatever was on hand. Last night's sleep, an old pattern with authority, a remark from 3 years ago that never fully closed. The difference between their two meetings was not out there in the room. It was in the rendering engines. Notice what this does to a familiar kind of suffering, the argument about what really happened. Two people can litigate a shared event for years, each baffled that the other won't concede the obvious, because each is holding up their rendering and calling it the tape. There is no tape. There were two constructions built side by side in the same room, and neither party has ever seen the other's, or for that matter the room. If that still sounds abstract, your phone can demonstrate it in one day. Someone sends you a one-word reply, okay, with a period. At 9 in the morning, coffee in hand, it reads as agreement, fine, done. At 2 in the afternoon, after a strained call with someone else, you scroll past it, and it reads clipped, cold maybe. By 3 a.m., awake for no reason you can name, it reads like a verdict. Something is wrong, you did something. This is the beginning of a withdrawal you should have seen coming. Here is the part worth slowing down for. The message did not change. The pixels on the screen are identical, at 9 a.m. and 3 a.m. The letters, the period, the timestamp, all of it fixed. The only variable in the experiment is you. Mood changed, so the rendering changed, so the meaning changed, and each version arrived in awareness with the same stamp of authority. This is what the message says. This is the closest thing to a controlled experiment you will ever run on your own perception, and you run it constantly without noticing the result. The world holds still. the experience of it swings, and the mind's confidence never wavers across versions. Total confidence, no credentials. Whatever tone you are hearing in someone's words, tonight especially, at whatever hour you are listening to this, some of that tone is theirs. Some of it is the renderer's. And from the inside, the two are indistinguishable. Now stack it up, because the night mind stacks it up. Floor 1. The conversation itself, which you experienced as a rendering, mood-filtered, expectation-shaped, already interpreted before it finished landing. Floor 2. The memory of the conversation. And here the 4th century map and the modern one agree on something uncomfortable. Memory does not store events. It stores materials for a rebuild. Fragments, tone impressions, a few phrases, and every act of recall is construction on demand. Your memory of the conversation is not a recording. It is tonight's rewrite. Floor 3. The 3 a.m. replay, which is a rendering of the memory, staged by a mind in a very particular mood, with the lighting set accordingly. Floor 4. The worry about what it all means, the forecasting, the case building, which is a rendering of the replay. 4 floors up from anything that happened, and you are litigating the architecture as if it were the ground. Episode 2 showed that the replay loop is self-maintenance, not recall. This episode adds the harder half. The material being maintained was never footage in the first place. The loop is not replaying a bad event. It is rebuilding one, nightly, and calling the rebuild evidence. The Yogācāra thinkers had a name for this layer of experience, the constructed layer, taken as given. Parikalpita, roughly, the fully imagined. It is the first of what they called the 3 natures, 3 ways any experience can be taken. We will open the other 2 later in this series. Tonight, 1 is enough. You do not have to take a 4th century text word for any of this. Modern memory research arrived by its own road at the same place. Remembering is rebuilding, and each rebuild can be edited by the present, by current mood, by what you have been told since, by the story you have been repeating. And a newer body of work on perception describes the brain as a prediction machine. It renders its expectation of the world first and corrects with sense data second, which puts ordinary perception closer to controlled imagination than to recording. Nobody in these labs was reading Yogācāra. The resemblance is not subtle. You can catch the editing yourself if you are willing to look at something unflattering. Recount an argument you had last year out loud to no one. Then notice the shape of the story. Odds are it has quietly improved in your favor. Your lines got sharper. Theirs got worse. Or, if your mind runs the other way, it has worsened against you. Your failure grown cleaner, more total, more proof-like. Either way, the edit happened off stage, and the current draft feels like the original. 2 things this is not. It is not the claim that nothing happened, or that your pain is imaginary. Something happened. The point is that you have only ever had access to renderings of it, and a rendering can be seen as a rendering. And it is not therapy. If your mind has become frightening to live in, a real person, a professional in a room, will do more for you than any video, including this one. Here is the practice. It is small on purpose. Tonight or tomorrow, take 1 small uncomfortable moment from the day. Not the worst thing in your life. Something the size of a look, a reply, a pause. Write 2 sentences. Sentence 1. What a camera would have recorded. No adjectives a camera could not verify. She said okay and looked at her phone. Sentence 2. What are you made of it? She is losing patience with me, and this is how it starts. Then stop. Do not analyze the gap. Do not argue with sentence 2. And do not try to close the distance between them. Measure it once and put the pen down. The distance between those two sentences is the fully imagined, seen in daylight. Parikalpita, on paper, in your own handwriting. Seeing the gap is the move. Explaining the gap would be the loop wearing a lab coat. If you skip a night, nothing is owed. There is no streak here. Next episode, we go to the storehouse itself. Why every time you replay the rendering, the next one arrives a little easier. Why feeding a worry is planting a seed, and why suppressing it, it turns out, is watering it too. That mechanism has a name, and it is the reason this channel is called what it is called. You have never seen the world, only your mind. You do not have to fix that tonight. Seen is enough.